Hello ladies. Oh, thank you for jumping on with me today. So I'm doing our quick tip, our spring quick tip guide for today. It's gonna be really quick. I'm trying to break everything down, go slow, just do a piece at a time. So it's not a whole bunch of training all at once. So I'm actually taking a page out of our Design Your Jeep Build course manual for today. If you haven't gotten one of these, check in the comments below. I have an amazing educational special going on right now. If you have this, you can jump to section 6. That's what we're going to be going over today, and that is going to be talking about stock parts that you're going to need to upgrade. But what I want to do is just focus in really quickly on the front end, and I want to show you under the 2017 JKU Rubicon behind me. This is going to be our example Jeep for today. I want to get under there and show you where these parts and pieces are that we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be focusing just on the front end, and these are some of the stock parts and pieces that you need to know about when you are thinking about doing a build, upgrading, doing a bigger tire and lift. But also these are important pieces when you hear people talking about death wobble. They're going to bring these up as well as parts and pieces you need to check and double check. But I would love for you to get comfortable starting to go under your Jeep and keeping an eye on your Jeep itself. So if you get under there and you start looking at it, you're going to start to notice if there's things that just don't look right, cracks, anything that looks like it's worn, things like that. But I wanted to take this quick minute today to show you where these exact parts and pieces are under this 2017 JKU. So if you have a different generation Jeep, it's still going to be in the same place. It just might look a little bit different. The JL kind of beefed up some of the things underneath compared to these JKUs. And then if you have an older generation Jeep, it might be smaller. So depending on what Jeep you have is going to dictate what the parts are actually going to look like, but they're going to be in the same place. They're the same thing. So I wanted to take a minute and show those to you right now today for our training. So I'm going to flip the camera around for just a second, and I'm going to actually get underneath this Jeep and we're going to look at it together, because I want you to know if somebody tells you go check your tie rod and your tie rod ends, where that is and what that means. So I'm going to flip around and then we're going to get started underneath the Jeep. All right, ladies, so I got under here and I got this turned around. First of all, I do want to point out a couple things. So on my bumper, as you can see, I have this piece that comes down a little bit to help protect the front of my Jeep from rocks for as we are driving off-road. And then I also have a full belly skid under here as well. That was an aftermarket upgrade that we did put on here. I'm going to come around the side so you can see it really quickly, just because I want you to see. So this is my full belly skid. This was added after a little bit of carnage underneath when I took her off-roading on the trail. But so I just wanted to show this to you so that you know this is not stock. This is an aftermarket full belly skid. So as we're under there and I'm showing you things, it might look a little different because of my full belly skid under here, but it should not affect what I'm going to show you up front. I just wanted you to know that in case you saw that and were wondering, you know, why maybe your Jeep didn't have that and this one does. So now we're going to jump to the front end components that I want to talk about and focus on today. Okay, now we're up underneath the Jeep, and I want to point out really quickly, all of this on this 2017 JKU is still stock. So we have not made any of the upgrades yet. So first I want to talk about the tie rod. You're going to hear people talk about replacing, upgrading the tie rod, and checking the tie rod ends when we're talking about the front end. So as you can see, the tie rod is going to run from one wheel straight across. So it's this bar that's going straight across. It's in front of my differential. So my differential is behind, and this is my tie rod that runs in front of the differential all the way across to the other tire. So it's going to go straight across, and as you can see, it's one straight piece. So that is the tie rod, and then right here would be your tie rod ends. So you have a couple of places when people start talking about checking your tie rod ends. You have an adjustment piece that's right here. And then you also have this over here, which is going to be your tie rod end. And you have a rubber gasket that's right there as well. So what you want to be thinking about is checking the bolt, making sure that none of this rubber is damaged, making sure it's not cracked, it's not dry rotted. Same thing with this entire tie rod. You know, get up close to it, look at it, make sure there's no cracks. There's nothing that is going to weaken your actual tie rod, and keep an eye on that. Sometimes it's good to get in the habit of just getting under your Jeep and just looking at everything under your Jeep, all of your pieces, especially on your front end. So another thing that you're going to hear is upgrading your tie rod ends and knuckles. So that's going to be over here, your tie rod ends, and this big piece that then connects to it is going to be your knuckle. So when we're talking about the knuckle, it's down here, all the way up, all the way back. So that's going to be your knuckle as well when people are talking about upgrading your tie rod ends and your knuckles. So those are going to be two really important things you're going to hear people talking about. The other thing we're going to talk about just really quickly is going to be your drag link. Okay, so now I've gotten back over here. Your drag link is what's going to be sitting right on top of your tie rod. So you have your tie rod, and then this is now going to be your drag link. And as you can see, it comes across, and it's going to meet right here. So that is going to be your tie rod, or your drag link, and your pitman arm. So this is your pitman arm that it connects to. This has to do with your steering. So when you hear people talking about you need to upgrade your drag link, so that is what is running directly on top of, I don't know if you can see that right there, and now it's gonna attach to your pitman arm. So these are directly related to your steering. So as you're understanding the front end of your Jeep steering components, when people are talking about things, they're going to talk about the drag link and the pitman arm. So now you can get under your Jeep, you know where it's at, and you can look at the condition of yours, and these are things to keep an eye on as well. But my goal for this video and this training for today was to just common pieces and parts you're going to hear people talk about when you're talking about the front end and when you're talking about your steering. So go ahead and get out there and get under and take a look at your Jeep. So thank you for jumping on here really quickly with me today for this spring quick guide tip video and actually climbing underneath this 2017 JKU with me so I could show you a couple of the most common parts under your front end that you need to know where they're located, what they look like, and where they are. Keep an eye on those and go ahead and get out there if it's a beautiful day like we are having today and start putting eyes underneath your Jeep. Start to get to know your Jeep. Look for more of these videos and these quick tips from LadyJeepers.com, and I'm Kristen DeLibero. Thank you for jumping on here with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye, ladies.